Hey, Josh, good morning, buddy.
You know, David, you could have given me a million guesses a week ago about what you and I would be talking about today. I would have guessed a million times. That's how much I value the back and forth we have. I don't think I would have gotten it. In a million guesses, I don't think I would have gotten it. How are you, sir?
I'm well, and I'd say 97% of the time I'm going to start off with an A&M question, but we'll get to A&M. Alabama, buddy. I, like you and like Billy Lucci, thought they were going to win the SEC, and they still could, by the way. But if the physicality that I saw on Saturday is any indication, I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to be able to survive this kind of season, even though his buyout is huge. I think I saw a tweet that said you went to their practice a couple times, maybe last week or the week before, and you were pretty impressed. What happened?
No clue. Oh, I picked him to win the national title after I went and watched him practice. So, you know, it harkens back to last year. Luckily for me, Saban goes to FSU's practice, watches them, and says, yeah, that's your ACC champ right there. I'm picking them. And we saw what happened there. So I get practice can lie to you. Scrimmages can lie to you. Yeah, I have no idea. I was dumbfounded. That was a baseball bat to the face for me. It was one thing to get out executed or drop passes, fixable things, in other words, because we see that in week one every year. This is what happens when you don't have a preseason in college football. That's explainable. Some of the non-negotiables that we just take for granted from a lot of top 10 teams, physicality, as you talked about, just effort, max effort, that stuff wasn't there, which is why for everyone, including their staff, that it's talking about how they'll get it righted. They've got the guys in the building to get it righted. Maybe you do. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Like from last week, I kind of wiped my slate clean of expectations. I'm kind of starting from scratch with Alabama. If they get it fixed, they get it fixed. I'm very suspicious because once that stuff's in you, David, it's in you. So no matter how many games they win, like I'll always know that that's there. Somewhere under the hood, that possibility's there.
When teams lose, people start poking holes, but culture and whatnot. What have you seen from the culture there under the Kalen DeBoer, in the Kalen DeBoer era? You know, I think people were talking about Ryan Williams, you know, TikToks or tweets, whatever it was. What do you see from their culture?
A lot of that stuff exists everywhere. It's always anecdotal. When you win, that's just, oh man, they're loose. Look how much fun they're having. When they lose, all of it's an indictment. So when I've gone around there, and I've been around Saban's Alabama, I've been around DeBoer's Alabama, it is different, but the way it's supposed to look is there are very many branches that exist and extend off a tree. The tree better be the same. The non-negotiables better be the same. The principles and values pretty much better be the same. That goes for Bama, that goes for Georgia, that goes for Tennessee, A&M, whoever, or else you're not going to win. And certainly the branches look different. I thought the tree looked the exact same. So that I could still be right about that. That's what gave me confidence in predicting what I predicted, thinking what I think. And if we find out that that's rotten or that root system has been corrupted, that would surprise me. However, it would be one of the only ways to explain what we saw the other day. And I think the more troubling thing there is, David, they were of the opinion in the building, we've got it right. They're very confident, very confident. So sometimes you've been around this long enough. Sometimes you get a result on Saturday, and if you know people in programs, they will have told you, yeah, this is probably going this way. Don't feel great about this. Don't feel great about that. There was none of that from Alabama. So they're just as stunned as anyone else. DeBoer said that in his presser yesterday. Womack said that. We were, in fact, Kane Womack's the defensive coordinator there. Someone asked him about being unprepared. He said, no, we were not unprepared. We didn't get anything that surprised us. Every look we got, we practiced. Everything that they showed us, we expected them to show us. It was not a matter of unpreparedness, which means it's mental in nature.
Josh, this is not even a working theory. I just thought of it right now, but maybe we're in this new world of college football, and this is going to happen to a team every year. So go back to 22 with A&M. You go back to Florida State last year. I'm sure there's a couple in the middle that, like, you can't explain it. Great practice, great talent. Like, you think the culture's fine until it's not. Maybe that's just could it be that's where we are?
Yes. So there are certain programs, I'm not going to say they're immune from it. They're not immune from it. There are certain ones that I don't expect to be victimized by that. Georgia's one, Ohio State's one. I believed Alabama was one. And it just may be that no one is immune from it. It may be that. And I'll tell you what the close cousin of that is. The next train car in that train is the definition of how bad it can be, the floor for these teams. It was for a long time for the elite programs. If everything goes off the rails, it's a 9-3 season. That's the worst it could get. Maybe 8-4 if you play an extremely tough schedule, but that's the worst it's going to get. And we're talking about like 3 or 4 programs there. I don't know that exists anymore, David. I think the floor, Florida State was like an extreme example of this last year. The floor is the same way as if you're driving on the interstate. Normally, you've got a median, you've got a shoulder, you've got guardrails. So even if you go sideways, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to hit the guardrail. I think of college football now as same interstate, same speed. There are no guardrails. So if you go sideways, it's just off a cliff. And there's no limit to how far you can fall. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of people, including me, because it's a brand new world. But if you don't think Alabama could miss a bowl game, you don't understand the world we're in. We're absolutely in a world where if it goes bad, it's going to go really, really bad. So they play UL Monroe this week. They play Wisconsin the next week. Then they got to bye. Then they go to Georgia. And they've been bad on the road. I mean, that's a multi-year trend now. So I don't know, man. I do know that you and I sat here for months and we agreed with each other that this was going to be the most chaotic season we've seen in a while. There were going to be some teams left for dead early on that got their act together. Maybe this is one of them. Like, I do have that voice in the back of my head telling me, don't forget what you said in the summer. So maybe this is one of them. I'm just going to have to see it to believe it.
All right, so I'm going to go, people overreact after week 1. I'm going to overreact for a minute, okay, because it's fun. I still think Texas is going to be really good, playoff good. But now I see a world after losing your first game but hold on. That Florida game, not that far away, followed by Oklahoma, okay? I think going to Florida is going to be a real challenge for Texas or any team, right? Like at night, the way they could be playing. Now I look at them as like they should, because I think they were the better team than Ohio State. It's hard to say that out loud because they were down by 14, but I just felt like they just didn't take advantage of their opportunities. But let's just say, for instance, how rocky of a season could it be for Texas, considering now they have one loss? They got that road game at Florida. That'll probably be a night game. They've got Oklahoma, who looks way better. And, oh, by the way, you still got to go to Georgia. And hopefully A&M is who we think A&M is.
I don't know what month it is, but I will encourage the viewers to crawl into the TexAgs archives with you and I talking. Remember, I floated this. Them being a 2-loss team going into the Red River game, I floated this. I got excoriated, not by you, of course, but I got excoriated for it. That's impossible. They're the preseason favorite. They got the Heisman favorite. Storylines are not real. Football is real. What happens between the lines is real. It wasn't even crazy as a concept to me. They're going into Columbus, Ohio, a very competitive game. They could lose that. They could straight up lose in Gainesville against Florida. And that wouldn't even mean they're not a good team. They're just tough spots to go play. So now here they are. They're a 1-loss team. That game at Florida is going to be a knife fight one way or the other. And then they're going to go to Dallas and play OU. All of their tough games with a new starter at quarterback are away from home this year, except A&M at the end of the year. So it was never unfathomable to me. You asked how bad could it be? They could be a 4 or 5 loss team. That's how bad it could get if they lost all of their losable games. And that's without really big upsets happening. That stuff it's so more possible than people want to realize. A lot of people's minds are still in this world where best case is 12-0. Like I said, worst case is 9-3, 8-4. Nobody's worst case is only 8-4. The only time you get that is if maybe you play a schedule like Penn State's. You got so many returning starters. There's so much certainty on your team, but there's no complacency because they haven't won anything. And you play Oregon and Ohio State. And those are the only 2 games that should be point spread competitive. Otherwise, you got to screw up to lose those games. So maybe 9-3 is the floor for Penn State. Outside of that, everybody's floor is lower than 9-3, 8-4, 7-5. David, I would suggest to you there's going to be a 7-5 team out there at the end of the year that you and I look at and say, no, they don't deserve to be in the playoff, of course, but that team right there, let's just say we changed their record as is. We put that team as is in the playoff. I think they could do some damage. I guarantee you we end up saying that about somebody.
I think that's a wonderful point. Overreacting. And OB said I might be overreacting a little bit too much on this. LSU defense, show me something. And look, I don't know if that means that they're a national championship threat or not. I mean, they're obviously a top 10 team for a reason. But I think going on the road against an ACC favorite, regardless of what has happened to Clemson in their season opener last year and years past, LSU showed me something. What did they show you?
Yeah, it's a big deal. I don't think it's an illusion or a mirage. I kept thinking to myself, what if they had Blake Baker a couple of years ago when Jaden Daniels was there? That's the first thing I kept thinking. I was a little bit still out on them. I picked them to go 8-4. I was a little bit out on them for two reasons. One was offensive line, and we'll see that, the ground game, like we'll see if it's there consistently. Felt good about the week one performance, like page one of the book. But defense is the story, clearly the story with this team. Because what happened last year is you had to ask Nuss to do too much because of defense and because of run game or lack thereof. Ironically, that may be the mess Clemson's gotten themselves in. Going to have to ask Klubnik to do too much because they can't run the ball. Well, LSU looks far more complimentary as a team. Talent was never a question. I've never said the word talent in a pejorative manner with LSU a single time this spring and summer. I wanted to know if all the facets were there. It is week one. I want to be very careful about it, but that's about as encouraging a performance as I saw from any team that I had quote unquote questions about. Tennessee's offensive line was another one that looked incredible, albeit it was Syracuse, but still looked incredible because I thought that game would be close. I thought it would be a little risky for them, so they pulled away. All credit to them. But yeah, LSU, they answered a lot of questions to me. That's 1 week now. So now you got to stack those results on top of each other.
Josh, I think national analysts, you have so many games to kind of absorb that you look at the big storylines that come out of a game. So when you look at the A&M UTSA game, some people are like, look at the rush yards they gave up. And I certainly think that is a storyline to consider. But the other part is, look at that A&M offense. What were your takeaways from A&M's win over UTSA? They have Utah State coming up. And especially the way that offense looked.
The offense was the takeaway for me. I know a lot of times now you got to help me out on this. Like a lot of times in week one, who else was it? There was another team that gave up a little bit more than they'd be comfortable with, but they rotated. Tennessee. It's Tennessee. Tennessee rotated so many guys in defensively. They had 21 different guys make a tackle in a game against Syracuse. So with A&M, I looked at the offense. And I know, and there was also like a backdoor cover, I think, which makes the natives none too pleased. I had UTSA plus the points, so that didn't upset me. But from the A&M side of things, I understand the defensive numbers in the box score a little bit more than you're comfortable with. That's been what everyone's talked about all spring and summer. Offensively, though, it sounded that right there, David. I got some of that finally. So I don't know. What was your personal read defensively? What was your takeaway on that?
Honestly, it was 4 or 5 plays that made up the bulk of those yards.
Right.
And that's been their story the last few years, Josh. But after that 75-yard touchdown, the defense, Coach Elko had a few words for that defense, and they changed things around. I mean, there were 6 straight punts. They scored a garbage time touchdown on the backup. So I feel like they addressed the issue, they fixed it, and they moved on.
Yeah, so I think sometimes if you're not playing a marquee opponent in week one, everybody classifies it as you're either playing a Power 4 team, top 25 team, or you're playing a tomato can. And the fact of the matter is UTSA would themselves be a multi-touchdown favorite over some of the teams that other, premier teams played in week one. I don't think there's a proper understanding of quality of opponent is what I'm trying to say. So you almost take it as an insult when UTSA has the audacity to even compete against you. And it's not a bad program. So it's not the biggest shock in the world when they do a little more than just lay there and say, all right, club us to death. That's not what you even want to see in week one.
Hey, Josh, can you, for a moment, model that shirt? I don't think I've seen this one. Is this a new Pate State shirt?
Oh, I don't even know that we have this one for sale. Look at that. Look at that strength and conditioning.
Look at that, man. I like that. Hey, before I let you go, I actually made this comment to OB. I didn't give it any thought, okay? I just said it in the moment. If you're ever the commissioner of college football, and I'm your chief of staff, okay? How do you like this idea? It's a terrible idea, but I'm going to throw it out at you. If you get blown out,
I love it.
Oh, this is why I like it. If you get blown out, you can't go to the playoffs. Sorry, you lose by 30 to Georgia in week 1, you can't go. Now, that might mean we get a lot of bad teams in the playoffs, but just chew on that for a moment.
Is that it? If you get blown out. So how do we define a blowout?
Let's go 18 points or more.
18 or more. Wow. So that's 3 plays.
Mm-hmm.
If 3 plays go the wrong way, I am a fan. So this put into the blender, and then if I give feedback, I would ask you, all right, if we're going to consider that, do we consider a rule that would have kept Notre Dame out last year? If you lose to a Northern Illinois at home, that caliber of upset,
that's
do
the
we
flaw.
keep you out?
That's the flaw in the system. I recognize it. But I also have a hard time thinking, God, if you just get your butt kicked, do you really need to be, one of the teams that can win it all? And then I had a qualifier, because it was real time thinking. And I was like, but if your quarterback's missing because he's hurt, maybe I'll give you a benefit of the doubt. If it happens in the first month of the season, maybe I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, teams that get blown out, should they be in the playoffs?
So then there's several problems with it. One is if Pate State's playing Nuno Tech over there, Nuno Tech gets out to a 14-0 lead, and I just feel there's no energy. Do I just tell my quarterback fake injury, sit the rest of the week so that down the road we can say, well, our quarterback got hurt in that game? Or do I fake? Afterwards, do I say, well, he was playing with a rib injury. We didn't disclose it pregame, but he was banged up, I almost said knocked up, which also would be a problem for the quarterback. And then the third thing is, all right, what if Nuno Tech's ranked number 1 in the country and you beat me 24-0? But over here, like Lucci A&M, they win by 3 against a team they were favored by 50 against. He had the worst afternoon performance-wise than me, but I'm being punished. We got to work this through. We got to workshop this.
It's not good, but I like the idea. At the moment I said it, and then as I talked it out loud, I was like, terrible idea. Hey, Josh.
I do like that there's some parameters. I do like that there's some things that are just throat / middle of the season. You're done. Sorry. You didn't get it done here.
Hey, man, great stuff as always. Appreciate you, brother.